Hi Seagull class. This lesson is to teach you something new that you can do with the work that you did last week on squaring numbers. What do I have here? It's the square of 4. And I bet you remember how to write that. You remember that 4 squared means that there's a 4 going across and a 4 going down. There's a 4 going one way and a 4 going twice, which is how we know to write that little 2. And I bet you remember the quantity of 4 squared. How many beads do we have in this square? Remember, we can find that out by thinking how we take 4 once, twice, thrice, and a 4th time. What is 4 times 4? It's 16. That's right. So if we're looking at this 16, we know that each of these is 4, but what if we just focused on this part at the bottom? Well, you know a plant has something called a root, and the root is the most bottom part of that plant. And the square also has a root, and it's the most bottom row of the square. So we can say the square root of 16 is 4, because there's 4 down here at the bottom row. I have written my 16 here, and to show that I don't mean just 16 but the square root, I'm going to draw a special symbol. It's almost like a little house around the 16. There's a wall and a roof, and then this extra part that goes out like a V and then horizontally. This little house means square root. And we just found out that the square root of 16 was 4. And so we can write that there next to the square root of 16. Let's look at another one together. What do I have here? It's 5 squared. We have 5 going one way and 5 going another way. 5 going 2 different ways. So we write our 5 with the little 2. And do you remember how many beads there are in this square of 5? There's 5 once, 5 twice, 5 thrice, 5 a 4th time, 5 a 5th time. 5 times 5, you remember, is 25. So here we have 25. Now, perhaps I'd like to find the square root of 25. Well, we know the root is at the bottom of the square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the square root of 25 that's right, it's 5. Wow, you're catching on quick. Well, let me show you how you can do this work with your work from last week on squaring. Let's look at your first one, 1 squared. How many do we have at the bottom? Just 1, right? And so I've drawn again just the bottom, which is all of 1 squared. off here to the side. So the square root of 1 is however many squares I have drawn here. 1. Now let's do 2. So what do we have at the bottom row of our 2 square? I'll draw that here also. At the bottom of our square of 2, we have 2. 1, 2. There's just the bottom. And the square root of 4 equals 2. Here we have just the root of the square of 4. And that equals 2. 1, 2. Let's do the third one together. Look at your square that you drew from before. Remember to look, the root is going to be just the bottom row. And so I'm going to draw that over here in my column where I am writing my square roots. Just that bottom row of 3. Now, what was the value of this whole square? It was 9, right? 3 squared equals 9. And so we can find the square root of 9. We know that it is 3. Now, I'll stay on this video and do the square root of 16. You do it as well on your paper, and when we're finished, we can compare what we have. So this time, try and do the square root of 16 on your own, and I'll do it on my own. Are you ready? I drew just this bottom row of 4 from our 16, and I wrote that the square root of 16 is 4. Now, I know that you have the squares of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I know you have at least those from the lesson that we did last week. So see if you can find the square roots for those numbers as well. Maybe you did more. Maybe you did the square of 11 or 12 or 20. If that's the case, you can do the same exercise with those also and find so many square roots. I can't wait to see how many you can do.